The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
All right, everybody, and welcome to episode 127 of the 9 Years podcast, and thank you very much for downloading the show this week. As you will know, over the past couple of weeks, we've started our little trial experiment of being live Sunday evenings on Love Sport Radio, and that forms pretty much the podcast every week now. And indeed, it's an hour, isn't it, Stu? Sorry, I should say it's Nick Draper here, by the way, with Stuart Deakins as always. But yeah, it's about an hour. Take out all the ad breaks and Donald Trump impersonations that they put on during the actual show. It comes to about 45 minutes.
Yeah, which is quite difficult for us to get everything we need to talk about in 45 minutes, really.
So much stuff gets left on the cutting room floor, as they say, and then it's sort of swept up and thrown in the rubbish bin where it belongs. But we thought this week, a little bit of an intro, and we want to let you know we've got extra bonus content. We've got Abdu You, because we didn't get that in on the show this week. We also have the return of a very popular podcast feature from yesteryear, from days of yore. But we shall come to that after we play you Sunday night show from Love Sport Radio with your host, Aaron Paul, who doesn't have a surname, but he's all right.
Love Sport Radio, 2 minutes past 8 o'clock on a Sunday, and I'm just watching Stuart Deakins dancing. It's a bit awkward. It's really, I feel like I'm at some church fete, just Stuart Deakins. Yeah, you know, we need to get someone a bit more upbeat, someone with a bit of chapa.
Yeah, it's a bit dated, isn't it?
We need to get. Can we sort that out for next week?
I will get you some new music for next week, I promise.
I want something good. Let's get something good. We're talking all things Wombles. AFC Wimbledon is one of my favourite times of the week. This is. I love this bit. Mm-hmm. I love you, Wombles. The greatest football story ever told carries on. Unfortunately, defeat yesterday. Shrewsbury Town 0, AFC Wimbledon 1. I was sitting in South London and I was constantly checking my phone going, please. This is going to go right down to the wire, isn't it? I've got a feeling.
It is. I have to ask why you were checking your phone when it's us. We're never going to score. We've changed our name officially. Wimbledon 0. That's what it is this season.
No, but you've got to have hope. You know, when you've got LTB, you've got a bit of hope. Lyle Taylor, baby. Nick Draper's in the show. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Aaron. Yeah.
And Stuart Deakins to my left, the man. I love him. I love this guy.
You love his beard.
I just love him in general. He scared me one of the first times I ever interviewed him. Really scared me. He was like, yeah, what?
I wasn't that rude, was I?
No, I think I'd interrupted you mid-pie or something like that.
More than likely.
Yeah. And I can't remember where we were. It was a good pie, though. It might have been Bristol Rovers, you know.
Bristol Rovers have got the best pies.
Actually, I think it was Bristol Rovers on the terrace.
Yeah,
at Bristol Rovers, and the pies were excellent. By the time I got round there, they'd run out, and I was a bit gutted. Anyway, let's talk Wimbledon.
There's just Stu sat there with a pie around his mouth.
Yeah, well, no, I was excuse me. I was only 6'4" and 23 and quivering in my boots, but you know, when you got someone who's 6'4", loves Stuart. Anyway. It's depressing. I'm on the Wimbledon fans page on Facebook, and sometimes you've got to sit there and just read it, and sometimes you've got this one guy there who's sitting there going, no, let's be optimistic. Hardly in, hardly out, hardly shake it all about. Where are we?
We're at a different stage of the season, aren't we? We're running out of games. So the defeat yesterday didn't really change too much. Shrewsbury was a nothing game in terms of where we expect to go there and win. Probably not. But I think when the games start dwindling down like they are now, so 8 to go, fans do get panicky. But realistically, what would happen if we got rid of Neil Hardy today? Who's going to come in?
Simon Bassey.
Yeah?
Simon Bassey. That's all it'll be. Neil Cox will go, Simon Bassey and Bezo maybe take over. But would you rather have Neil, who's got the experience, having been a Football League manager, or Simon Bassey, who, God bless him, we love him to bits. You know, he's been there through the whole story. But what experience has he got as a Football League manager?
It's a job that he can do like he had done before in League Two when you're in September, October time, not when you're in April, May time. I mean, it's all a bit of a moot point because Neil Hardy's not going to go anywhere, but the board are going to look, if he was to go, immediately the same name's going to come up. The Laurie Sanchez is the Dave.
I was just about to ask that. Laurie, would you take him? He's been out of the game a while.
He has, and Laurie's a weird one, isn't he, in terms of, the experience he's got, obviously, with Northern Ireland and Wickham and things like that. But, yeah, once you're out of the game for a little while, can you come back in? They sort of say, once you're out of the game for 6 to 12 months, you're sort of forgotten about in a way, aren't you? That's why managers try and come back in so quickly. My one I would like, and this is obviously hypothetically with Neil Hardy, but with Steve Cottrell would be my pick. I quite like
Steve Cottrell.
Yeah, quite like Steve Cottrell.
He's a tough guy. He's got Wimbledon values. He's hard-working. He will graft. Birmingham is not the easiest place to go into. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
It was always going to be not just a baptism of fire, but like a full-on execution of fire, the stay of fire, because that club is in ruins. Whereas he comes to Wimbledon, you've got a forward-thinking chairman in Eric. You've got good people around you, building a new stadium, not much budget. Are we actually at a point now where we're thinking this could be the time for a change?
You get to a stage, don't you? I'm along that sort of camp at the moment. I've got a lot of time for Neil Hardy. I really have. He's a really nice guy. But sometimes you get to a stage where sometimes sometimes it gets stale, doesn't it? And I think we might be getting to that stage at the moment. I'd love him to stay to the new stadium, I must admit. But I can't really sit through another season of what we're going through at the moment. And yeah, I think if push comes to shove, I'd go for change.
Are we at a problem, Nick, where Neil is just being so pragmatic that it's becoming boring?
Some people have this pragmatic word. Now, for me, pragmatic is always changing your system to tailor yourself to the opposition, what have you, or adapt to different situations. I wouldn't say Neil is particularly pragmatic. I'd say you pretty much know what you're going to get with him every single week, which is a team that's going to set up not to lose and try and nick something on the break or from a set piece or something like that. And I think
hold on, not to lose. That's the problem. They lost yesterday.
Exactly, and that's the problem. And I think, whereas I didn't see yesterday as there was a bit of a meltdown yesterday from some people. I didn't quite get why Stu said it didn't really change much. We weren't really expected to get anything, but I think the major issue is not going into that game thinking you can win it, thinking you can go there and not lose it. And we now have 8 games, and I looked at the mini league of the bottom 8 sides, and if we had a mini league of just games between those 8 sides, we'd be bottom of it. And I think we've won 1 game in 9, I think, or 10 actually.
Great win, though, wasn't it?
It was a famous win away at Northampton. And that's the problem. We've now got 4 games against teams in the bottom 8 left. Yeah. We need to win those games. We need to win, 2, 3 of those?
Just very quick, we just say about not lose. I was reading a story this morning with Jaap Stam, Reading fans moaning that he set up not to win. And he was under the great Sir Alex Ferguson, who his teams always set out to win a game. And maybe it's that culture coming in that managers are so frightened to lose.
I want to discuss that with you. Because we spoke in depth in the hour between 6 and 7 about Reading, and I just don't like him. I never liked him under Jaap Stam because I'm fortunate in a position where I get to watch very good quality attacking football week in, week out. I watched Fulham under Slavisa Kanovic, who knock it around like Barcelona, let's be fair. And I watched Reading come to the Cottage, get dismantled 5-0, and then come to the Cottage in the playoffs and park. The buses weren't parked, the tanks were parked. They were wasting time after 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just a case of negative football. You can have your say this evening, 0208 70 20 558 at Love Sport Radio on Twitter. We're talking all things Wombles next. Guys, check out 7OTB. I haven't checked my results out yet this weekend, but basically it's a game where you pick 7 teams, 6 to win, 1 to draw. You get it right 4 weeks in a row, you win £1 million. It's free to play. Very, very cool. Not sure how I got on. Probably lost. Hey, what can you do? I keep backing Wimbledon. Let's go to socials now at Love Sport Radio on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And Gary has tweeted since then, hi, I was at the game yesterday. Shrewsbury, I have to say, are no better than us, but where they are better is 50-50 balls and scrapping for everything. For me, not enough fight in our team. In my opinion, we have a good team, but something is not clicking. Now, I want to bring up Gary's point about fight in the team. Because when I first started watching Wimbledon, I saw Robbo in his prime. I saw Barry Fuller in his prime. I saw a good quality midfield. I saw Bayo. I saw players who were very, very unified. Do you think it's to do with team morale? Is it to do with players not really being interested? Are they looking at it as a stepping stone? Where are we?
I want to bring it back to your comment earlier about looking for who you might put in charge as manager, and you said Steve Cottrell, and you said it summed up. Sorry, Aaron, you said it summed up the Wimbledon sort of spirit, that sort of player, and that's what I think we're missing. That's what's so bizarre about sort of the way we've gone this season under Neil, is that Wimbledon sort of up and at 'em, here we go, as the song says. And yeah, that is missing. I don't know. Neil, for me, he's very, very tactically astute. He is. He's very, very savvy. He knows the game inside out. But sometimes you're so concentrated on the little details that you're missing the big picture.
Okay, on that point, are we potentially saying that Neil is a better number two than he is a number one?
Could be. I think he's a great coach. You know, I've been down training ground many a time.
Coach! There's the word.
But sometimes there is, though, because sometimes you've got to say, look at Neil Warnock. Great manager. He's probably what they all called the old 23 manager, didn't they? What Joe Kinnear was called. Mm-hmm. You know, he'd get anyone fired up, wouldn't he?
So do you think that, I mean, look, let's be on a level. You meet Neil Ardley, he's a quiet guy, very quiet guy, you know, very simple, keeps things simple. I've done many an interview with him, and he's very, very quiet. I mean, the first Wimbledon game I ever went to, he didn't even turn up. Wimbledon hadn't lost, they'd drawn. And he sent Simon Bassi out. And Simon was like, okay, I'm going to do the interview. And I was like, right, okay, why? But Neil simply didn't want to talk. Is it a case of we need loud voices now? We need loud voices. We need big presences. And I'm going to switch to another club in South London and look at Millwall. Millwall are flying right now. I've had a bet on with a friend that Millwall will go up because they've got such confidence, and they knew, you know what, we needed a leader in the dressing room. They brought in Tim Cahill. Tim Cahill will play 2 or 3 games for Millwall, but the effect he's going to have on the players around him is going to be so much so that Neil Harris knows, see them lads over there, I can leave them to it. I can focus on him, and him, because I know Tim is going to look after them. Do we not have enough big boys, enough leaders in this Wimbledon dressing room?
Stu loves a big boy, but Darius Charles is most definitely. Darius is the player I think we'd look to, wouldn't we, to be that sort of leader. We have the famous story of the playoffs in his dressing room and his speeches and yeah, and I think that's what we're missing currently. He's been so in and out the side that when you look at the side, when you look at that team yesterday, that lineup yesterday, who's your leader there? Barry Fuller, I guess, is your captain. Does he have that? Does he have that at the moment? Does he have that ability to lead that team? Certainly not to take the game. He's not in the position to.
There's not enough leaders. You could look at Liam Trott in midfield.
Don't look at Liam Trott.
Good player, but is not the most vocal. I think it's half the reason why Lyle's got upset this year, because I think Lyle really wants to fight and he leads from example, and I don't think he looks around his players sometimes and thinks they're fighting him for my cause. You know, got Jimmy Abdu, love Jimmy Abdu, but again, he's a quiet guy, doesn't get in people's faces. I'm brought up on the old Wimbledon with Vinnie Jones and all that sort of stuff, so I want someone in their face. I want it, if you're in a relegation battle, to see I can see someone cares about it. I don't want to see a goal go in and charge to the halfway line. I want to see someone rollicking somebody for doing it.
See, I always wanted someone like Will Nightingale to step up and to be a future leader. He's Wimbledon through and through. Yeah. I wanted him to push forward and be that man.
I think he can be. You talk to a lot of people and they say he's a captain in that dressing room. He's a captain. He needs games. to get. I think he's looking at himself at the moment, make sure he gets enough games. Next year is an interesting one, because do we have Barry Fuller next year? I doubt if we will. I think.
Are we looking at a summer of change now?
Massively. But I mean, I'm guessing you mean personnel-wise.
Yeah. Do we have the finance to do that though?
Well, probably not. But I think also a shift in culture has to happen, I think, as well, because you mentioned Will Nightingale there. He could be that leader we have on the pitch, but I actually think he is Wimbledon through and through, but he's been brought through into a different Wimbledon than the Wimbledon of yesteryear, shall we say, of days of yore, in that we're very professional, very sensible, I think is probably the best way to sum up our approach sometimes, and we don't like to rock the boat or be particularly controversial like the old Wimbledon would be, and that's probably reflected in what you see now. Players that won't We won't challenge the referee. We're not allowed to, I believe. I still understood that is the club rule about being fined for being booked for dissent and things like that.
Is that because Wombles are nice?
Yeah, we are.
We are too nice, though, sometimes.
That's the problem. We are too nice, and I think that is a culture shift at the club, which is never a bad thing to say you're too nice.
Okay, right. I'm going to stop this here, and I'm going to ask you, do you think you've had too much... I want to really be careful with what I say here because I've been around your kind and I know how you feel about this. Do you think that people are too sympathetic about Wimbledon and go, look at them, they have to rebuild their club, blah, 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 blah. Do you think we need to bring back some of the spirit we had when we had players who would go there and take the game? Take the game, go for it. I'm looking back at players, I think I talked about Kenny Cunningham last week. You know, just players who went for it and encapsulated that spirit. And we talk about 1988 so much, but the truth of the matter is, Liverpool, ability-wise, were on the next level to Wimbledon. Wimbledon fought them. They fought them and they took them at their own game and they beat them properly. They played football and they beat them. How do we need to change the image of this club? Does the club need to change its image? Does it need to be, you know, I'd say more Millwallised where no one likes us?
There's an element of that. To go back to the point we had last week about drive. Where's the drive now with the club? Because we've got into League One, we've got above that lot in the pyramid, we've got the stadium, we're going home. With those objectives when we set up in 2002 completed, do we now lack that bit of drive and now we settle for finishing fifth bottom?
Probably. And Laurie Sanchez said it last week, didn't he? The week before last, when he was talking about, you know, his style of football wasn't greatly appreciated, but that was the old Wimbledon style, you know, play target man up front. Millwall players very similar way, Morrison and so forth, don't they? Play very direct football, but really, like you say,
effective though.
Yeah, and their manager leads by example as well. On the
you said that Laurie said that it wasn't appreciated. Do you know, it might not have been appreciated then, it's appreciated now.
Yeah, I'd go back to that.
Let's have a look at what's going on social media very, 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 very quickly while my screen loads up. It's at Love Sport Radio, by the way. Thank you very much to Hannah for tweeting us in, who said she's listening live on the district line to Wimbledon. And she also mentions if Reeves had stayed, he'd have been the natural captain and leader this season.
Yeah, and you're probably getting back next season because it looks like Bradford are not probably going to keep him. I hope we're going back in for that because I'll take Reeves back like a shot. I think your leader is Will Nightingale. I think if you can keep Lyle Taylor, then you've got a leader up front. I just want to get back to that nasty side. When you're talking about being too nice, I remember when we first come up into the league and fans would applaud us and like us. And I don't really like that because I'm used to the old school Wimbledon. And then when we were going to Luton Town, when they started singing songs about them up in Buckinghamshire and giving us a bit of grief, and actually it was quite nice because I don't, as a football fan, I don't really want to be liked too much. I want Wimbledon to be disliked because they're playing a football that no one really wants to play against.
0208 70 20 558. Come on board this evening and have your say about the Wombles. We want to hear about you. It's all about AFC Wimbledon until 9 o'clock this evening. This is Love Sport Radio. Evening, it's Love Sport Radio. We're talking all things Wimbledon. Had a couple of tweets in from Mark who says, much as I hate to say it, but we really have become a Neil Ardley, in brackets, who I love, team. By that, I mean polite, diligent, respectful, but not exactly full of flair or bite. That is the best tweet I've had all day. Tweet of the day. Thank you very much, Mark. I will be retweeting that. He's spot on, isn't he? He's spot on about Neil Ardley. He's polite. I bet he's the kind of guy who, you know, you could just walk in and he goes, would you like a cup of tea? Yeah, cup of biscuit. You know, he'd bring out his best biscuits here.
And I think he's learned a lesson this year as well because I think it's the first time that actually he's had a group of fans turn on him. And I think the strength of character, he's pretty learned a lot. As you know, you just said a little while ago about Simon Bassey coming out for an interview and stuff. And sometimes, yeah, Neil Ardley does hide behind his backroom staff. But as a manager, I want him to come out. And I hope he's learned some lessons this year in terms of taking responsibility for some stuff he's done. But yeah, he is too nice. And that's where it's so difficult. When he's the next Wimbledon boy, you don't really want to see him. I don't want to see him sacked. I'd like to see him leave by his own choice, and we just play out during the summer.
Yeah, it doesn't give me any pleasure when I see Neil Ardley because he's not looked happy I don't know when the last time I saw him.
I don't think he looked happy when you won the playoffs.
I was about to say that's the last time I can remember seeing him smile. To be honest with you,
I can't remember.
Beating, I was about to say that horrible name, but beating that lot was probably the last time. Actually, that's probably the last time many of us were particularly happy going to Kingsmeadow. To be honest, but it doesn't give me any pleasure because, as you say, he is such a nice guy. We all love him. He is a legend. He's got us promoted. He kept us in the Football League in his first season with us. So yeah, I don't want to add more pressure to him in any stage. What I would want is him to see us through this season, and then the club actually see what they can do to support him, to maybe put some changes in that are going to help him improve and help us improve.
The worst thing that can happen this year is we stay up and it's seen as a success story. Because I know we're going to talk about word budget again, but if we do finish above where we are supposed to in the budget table, then it's seen as a success. But I don't think the season has been a success.
No.
So if we did stay up and the success story was, well, we've done a great job, have another season, it will be the same season as it was last year. We've not been great in recruiting windows. I think we've had probably 4 recruiting windows now where we haven't really...
I'd agree with you completely. I'd agree with you completely.
So I think that's where it is. So my ideal situation would be to stay up, Neil Ardley, find another job. There's lots of jobs that are going at the moment.
I don't think there'd be any problem with him getting another job.
No.
I think Neil would get another job. Maybe at a club where the fans aren't so demanding. I don't want to sound sort of disrespectful to other clubs because there are some fans who just are happy to plod along. I don't think Wimbledon like that. I don't think they'll ever be satisfied until the job is done, when they are rightfully back in the Premier League, in the place that Wimbledon belong. Let's go back to social media. We've had a tweet in from 15 Years of Womble who said, major overhaul of the playing staff needed. Who, though, would you keep, in brackets, that's still on contract, out of the current 16 or so first teamers?
We were looking for reasons to be cheerful today, and one thing I've heard, rumoured, is that Ekikaja is going to be with us next season, which I'm happy about, because I think there's still a lot of time for him to improve. Aside from that, if we could keep the goalkeeper, obviously we'd all want to do that. We don't know what the situation was there. Deji, I think we'd love to keep, but whether we'll be able to, I don't know. There's got to be clubs looking at Deji for next season, I'd imagine. His form this season has been outstanding, I think. Dean Harrott, but he'll go.
I think Lyle you try and keep. I know there's been stories around going that we won't talk to him until we know what league we're in. I think you try and keep Lyle. I think if Lyle wanted to go, I think he'd have gone by now. I really do. I don't think Lyle was in a desperate... had the same situation during the summer where reportedly he had offers to go elsewhere. He chose not to. Obviously Andy Hartigan, I would want to get rid of at least 1 or 2 in the midfield area. Probably Jimmy Abdu. I thought we would put Jimmy Abdu back to Millwall. He's a loan deal, and probably Tom Sawes. I would keep Trotter. I know people are going to hate me for saying that, but
Jimmy Abdu will just go back anyway.
He's a loan deal, isn't he? He's a loan deal.
I mean, Harry Forrester,
he'll go back as well.
Yeah.
He'll go back.
He's been the biggest disappointment because he can't.
It's pretty
But Neil's done that before, though, and this is where it comes back to our defensive mindset. Neil's done that before, where he's bought an attacking player and he's built him into his system and nullified his attacking influence.
Charlie Sheringham.
What a name for the past. Where'd you dig out that from?
You forget I've written an academic paper on this club. I know
That's
what's going on.
That's a great name for the past, isn't it?
There is, though, but you could argue that many players in the past, but currently looking at the squad, Dean Parrott just as another example.
I want to talk about a quick blast on blast. We're going to go down the trip down memory lane now. Memory lane, in fact. Memory lane. Lloyd Sam has joined Wimbledon. Probably be playing right back. Knowing Neil. Right back for Lloyd Sam? Anyone? Right back? But he scored goals abroad. He scored goals at New York Red Bulls, at DC United. So, you can say fair enough, he's done that. I don't see him playing a major part.
No.
I see him being one of them short fixes. Hopefully he'll slot in somewhere. Where can you see him fitting in?
I see him as a bench player. He's not fit. So we've before the window went, we got a player in. We had Carl Cole on trial. We had him playing under 23 football. But it just seems a panic. It's not even a buy. It's just a panic signing, isn't it? I just don't. You're right. His history is good, but I just see him as a sub player. I really do. I find it crazy that we've gone that way. I just think we didn't need another winger. Apparently, we didn't need another wing. We needed another forward, and we didn't go for it. And so I feel sorry for the guy because I don't really see what influence he's going to make.
I think, in fairness to Neil Ardley, in fairness to the club, I don't think they've tried to dress it up as anything other than an extra body just to have about the squad.
Yeah, I agree.
I do question why we've had a player with us for between 6 to 8 weeks that is unfit. I don't know what the registration rules are in terms of getting development game football. If you're not actually tied to the club, I don't know. That probably was an issue, I suppose. But you are, as you say, you're just getting extra body in. And as you say, we don't really need it anyway because we've got Carter on the bench, we've got Dean Parrott on the bench, we've got wingers all throughout the squad.
Yeah, and we had Simon Hines training with our team in the season. He's a Chesterfield score today. Mm-hmm. We've had lots of players like that, Carl. We just don't seem to tie them up as if we're not too confident.
Is money the issue? Are you too worried? But are Wimbledon too worried about a broken leg here, Cruciate's here, Cruciate's there, potentially losing someone and having to fork out the money? Budgets are tight, let's be fair.
My worry is that we've gambled with Kwesi up higher and it didn't work, it didn't come off. And that's just going to make us more and more reluctant to attempt anything risky in the future. And it just didn't work. It just did not work with Kwesi, unfortunately.
Love Sport Radio, 558 AM. Have your say this evening. 0208 7020 558 at Love Sport Radio on Twitter. 8:30, we are going to be talking to Carl Leaburn next. Thanks for choosing us this evening. We're talking all things AFC Wimbledon, and let's get to it. And another trip down memory. We've had fun with this. We had Laurie Sanchez a couple of weeks ago. We're going to be doing this plenty more times in the future. But this man was a cult hero. What a man he is. I was with him yesterday. He's an absolute gentleman. It is the legend that is Carl Leaburn. Carl, great to have you with us this evening. How are you?
Not too bad, Aaron. After a hectic day yesterday, I'm not too bad. I'm just chilling out today.
Good stuff, good stuff. Carl, give us your memories of, well, it wouldn't have been Plough Lane, it would have been Selhurst Park back then, and the atmosphere and the spirit that was around Wimbledon when you joined.
Yeah, as you can imagine, it was a fantastic spirit. That was one of the things that Sam Aman, at the time, who was chairman, and Joe Kinnear, who was the manager, that was one of the main things that they sold me on. Sam had said to me, I know you've been at Charlton a long time, and I know you've been there from a youngster, so, you're going to have big ties to Charlton, but he was saying, give us a chance to emulate that, and Wimbledon certainly did.
I mean, it must have been a difficult move for you. 11 years at Charlton, you're a legend there. You are a face down at the Valley. It must have been a really tough choice. What was going through your head when it all came about, and how did it come about? Of course, it was a tough choice. Obviously, I've been with Charlton a long time, and obviously we've been trying to get into the top division then, and I think it sort of came down to was I running out of time to play in the top division at the end of the day, and ironically, I think at the end of that season, Charlton got up through the playoffs. So, but yeah, it sort of came out blue. I think at the time, I'm sure Curbs didn't think I was particularly going to leave, and a matter of fact, I think I was going to sign a short-term contract because I'd been out of contract for a little while. I was going to sign a short-term contract at the time, but literally days before I did that, Wimbledon came in. I met them at a hotel in London. As I said, I spoke to Joe and Sam Mann. And, by, 11 o'clock, midnight, I decided to go Wimbledon, and I remember calling Curbs. Obviously, he was a bit upset. He thought I was going to stay at Charlton. He would have liked it for me to stay at Charlton, but he obviously accepted it. He's had a long career as a footballer and a manager, and he knows these things happen. So that's how it came about, really.
Hi, Carl. You speak to Nick here. When you joined us, then Joe Kinnear was manager.
Yeah.
How much interaction did you have with him during a normal week? So in training and things like that, did he speak to you much, or was it more? Did he more sort of save his dealings with you until the match day?
No, he was. He used to come out for some of the training sessions. David Kemp did a lot of sessions, Mick Harford. But, he'd be there and he'd be around the players and, he'd be talking to the players, giving them little bits of motivation. He certainly knew what he wanted on the pitch. But it was literally the crazy gang way, we're all together. The chairman used to come in sometimes and be interacting with us, on the pitch and setting us little tasks on the pitch. So it was literally all together.
Carl, hi, Stuart here. Just quick question. So you signed for Wimbledon. They went into your first game was the landlord against tenants, Wimbledon versus Palace. I think we were the away team that night.
Yes.
Can you remember that night that much?
You always have a little bit of nerves before you're coming out, and especially as you say, it was my first game. I always remember in the tunnel. I remember Vinnie Jones coming out and literally doing a scene from one of his films in terms of euphoric aggression and sort of saying, we're going to win this deep game and so forth. I was, quite frankly, I was thinking to myself, I might have joined a bunch of nutters. But I quickly got used to the Wimbledon antics. I remember Vinny being quite instrumental in winning that game, in terms of his stature, in terms of his personality and his strength on the pitch. He intimidated some sides, and sometimes he took the brunt of any stick to leave other players to be able to play their game. And I remember he literally gave Thomas Brolin, I think he played for him at the time, a torrid time on the pitch. And we ended up winning the game. So, good first memories. I think I came with Yawley. Yawley was up front, and I think I even set him up. But we managed to win that game, and so you think to yourself, a good start.
We did, because you nearly had a hat trick. Because actually, it hit the post and it set Jason Yawley up for a tap in. So
yeah. So any striker wants to get out of a game like that at the start. So it was nerves settled in quickly, and we got that result. Especially as you say, we was the tenants there, so it was extra sweet.
I mean, you mentioned Vinnie Jones. There were lots of characters in that team looking back, thinking Marcus Gales, Robbie Earls, that you'd played with, Kenny Cunningham's. But what were your memories of some of those other players? Maybe even Neil Ardley as well, who I think probably, I'm guessing your instructions were, or our instructions were, get the ball to Neil Ardley or Michael Hughes and get them to stick it on your head.
Yeah, I remember sort of putting on a bit more muscle going to Wimbledon because, they obviously had a direct style. They get direct up to their forwards as quick as possible. They try to get it down, get it wide, and sort of bombard the box, really. So you need a bit more muscle for that. At Charlton, I was probably a bit more mobile in the play that they wanted. But, the Wimbledon style certainly worked for a good while anyway. Played with Neil. He used to be on the wing there. He knew his instructions were once he got wide, his first thought is to get that ball in the box for the likes of myself, Marcus Gale, Robbie Earl, and make a late run into there as well. So, Joe would always go on about giving plenty of ammunition, get that ball in the box. I think Kenny was the captain at that time. I think Kenny Cunningham. I was lucky enough to play with some decent players in the team. Yeah, you mentioned Neil Sullivan was in goal. Mm-hmm. I've mentioned there Kenny Cunningham, Chris Perry. I remember playing. So we had some decent players.
So who are the players that stood out for you? Because when you think about the team, I'm looking for a team now. Vinny obviously was more direct and in your face, but I always think one of the best players, my favourite players, was Michael Hughes. What was he like to play with? Because he was just like a little magician, wasn't
he? Yep, Hughesy. Very a typical Joe Kinnear player in Joe's mind. Fiery. Could be very fiery at times, but as you said, although it was Wimbledon and they probably had a certain reputation for just going direct, in key areas, Joe used to always try and get people who had that bit of quality, and usually definitely had that quality. And yeah, he had a little left foot. He's a bit of a magician, really. Surprised sometimes he probably didn't play for a bigger club, but yeah, he when he came, I remember when he had his initiation of having his clothes cut up and all the tricks they did. They went on with him for a little while because he continually moaned about it. And
Carl, what was your initiation?
Oh, the usual. I heard little rumours. I had the usual. Cutting off clothes and so forth. But I just went with it. They didn't go too far, as I was told. Said I was far too big to go too far with me.
Very wise.
But usually, as I said, fiery character. He didn't really accept it, so they went on a bit longer than the usual player there. So until he was told, look, just accept it, and it will go by. But yeah, it's good. All good fun.
Carl, yesterday, I know you just talked about how tired you are from yesterday. It was a long day yesterday, and that was down to your good lady wife, the first lady of football, our very own Tracy Leaburn, who organised the first ever PSA test at a football ground. It was yourself, Jason Yule did it, Lee Bowyer did it, so did Scott Minto as well. I mean, what a fantastic thing she's done, for men. It's such a big thing nowadays, prostate cancer, but organising PSA tests at football where maybe some men might be a bit too shy to go to the doctors. They might be too worried to do something like that. How proud are you of your wife for doing that firstly, and what impact can this have on football in general?
First of all, I have to definitely pay tribute to my wife. It's typical of her, really, when she, as a cause, gets the bit between her teeth. She ain't stopping until she gets it done. As Scott Minto and the rest of them said, can you say no to your missus? Well, she basically a sort of week before was sort of getting the go ahead for it. So she's been up till 2 and 3 in the morning, working out what will go where, who's going to do this, organising for that. So she's literally been hardly sleeping on her phone, and as I said, she's been a driving force behind this PSA testing. I know the inspiration behind it was the Paul Deere. Someone she, in terms of raising money for prostate cancer, she met and was inspired by him. I think he reminded her of her own father, who died of the disease, she went forth from that. Somehow found I think he was the vice chairman of Burnley, who had done something similar but not on a live game. He tremendously helped with it, and she just pulled everything together, and you saw her on the day running around. She should probably get some type of award for it or something. But hopefully, football cottons on and takes this and pushes it on further. Maybe they could have it at every game, every club, and at a game. So because as you say, this disease is just seems to be cropping up more and more.
Carl, she deserves, she's got our Unsung Hero of the Year award. She's always going to be our First Lady of Football here at Love Sport Radio. Karen Brady, who are you? This is Love Sport Radio. Thank you very much, Carl. And Tracy Leaburn, who's sat next to him listening. I can hear, I know she is. I know Tracy is sitting there listening. Thank you very much, Carl, for joining us. We need to get you in the studio, but we also need to go for a break. This is Love Sport. Back on Love Sport Radio this Sunday evening, talking all things Wimbledon. Big thanks to Carl. Let's have a round of applause for Carlos. Big Carl Leaburn, what a guy. Some great memories there as well, talking about how he had his clothes cut up. But I didn't think anyone was going to mess with him.
You wouldn't bother, would you? I think
you wouldn't.
I remember I heard a rumour that Mick Harford was one that they never bothered with, apparently. We had the most girly song for him as well, didn't we? Hey Mickey song we used to have for him. you could tell he hated it, so he sung it even more. Just didn't really suit with his sort of northern
But wasn't it the greatest moment ever when Watford scored against us and they did that stupid celebration where all on their backs, kicking their legs in the air, and he just sort of stamps all the way through them like he doesn't care.
He was a typical old-fashioned forward. But yeah, Carl Leaburn was great. Still remember the goals against Palace and great celebrations.
Plenty of tweets to get through. Let's head over to Gary's tweet, who says, what do the guys think we honestly need this year, points-wise? I reckon 53, but possibly could be high as 55. Don't think a team has been relegated from Division 1 with over 50 points.
No, we went through this last week, didn't we? We mentioned that I think last season 50 would have kept you up.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult. We're on 42 at the moment, aren't we? And you look at the teams around us.
It's a different league. It's a different beast this season, isn't it?
And it's the games we've got as well. So we finished our last two home games at home to Oldham and then home to Bury on the last day of the season. So you worried me when you said about if we did a mini league and we would probably bottom of that mini league. So that worried me. I think we need 52 points. That'd be my gut feeling. So what we got? 3 wins and a draw. So let's get them early. Let's get a win against Fleetwood, win against Doncaster, and then a draw against Scunthorpe.
It's those big games. I'm just looking now. You think of the teams down there. So if we discount the fact that Bury have gone now, Northampton franchise you'd look at as main rivals, Warsaw, even Oldham. Still so many. They've still got so many games against each other. Oldham have got 4 games left against teams.
Do you know what the benefit right now? The biggest thing I look at right now is you lot have got Neil Ardley. They've got a bloke with how many CHs in his name? Machichi, who genuinely looks like he hasn't got a clue what he is doing. He's one of the, he looks like a PE teacher, let's be fair. I watched an interview with him and, you know, I don't really want to call him by his real name. Their chairman was very enthusiastic and the manager just looked at him to say, mate, I haven't got a Scooby. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I thought they were gone, and all of a sudden they pulled a couple of results out, haven't they? But the good thing about it is where they were, they've got to put out a lot more results than just that. So they've got to have a good run. Nothing would give me greater pleasure to see them Grace League 2 next year. But I think 52. I think 52. The last thing I want is to have to go home to Bury and need a win.
Yeah, I want it to be done and dusted. Yeah. It's amazing how the leagues forget the tops, because you've got standout candidates in every league at the top. But in every league, bar I'd say League 2, where it looks like Barnet are sinking slowly. Yeah. The Premier League, look at the bottom. You've got 10 teams that could go down. The Championship, Birmingham are making a revival. Yep. Reading is sinking. You've got to look above there and you think, Burton, could they get out of it? Barnsley, could they get out of it? And now you look at League 1 as well, and you look at the conglomerate of teams down there. Whereas you look at the top, teams are getting beaten, teams are winning, teams are losing. It's a very, very strange year for football, this is, where the top is just a foregone conclusion. I quite enjoy the race down the bottom, though, compared to the top sometimes. I think it's quite fun.
Yeah, I do, as long as you're not involved in it. I think that's the thing, isn't it? And we were saying what we like, normally last game of the season, if you stay up, everyone celebrates, but then you think, why are you celebrating? You've just survived relegation and you had a poor season, haven't you?
Yeah, there'll be no celebrations this year. I think there's the general malaise. I think that's the word we used last week. And I think going to that last game, if we stay up, if we get a win on the last day to stay up, I think it'll be greeted mainly with a shrug of the shoulders and great next season. Let's forget that season ever happened.
10 minutes to 9 o'clock, Love Sport Radio, 558 AM. We're back after this. Love Sport Radio. Right, let's go back to a tweet. And Mark has tweeted and saying, at Love Sport Radio, great hearing from Carl Leaburn and the good old days, but footballers have evolved and sadly play like Wimbledon of old and will end up with 8 players on the pitch come final whistle. Do we have to be more pragmatic next season and get a proper lump up front? Well, I asked Carl yesterday, funnily enough, if he fancied coming back, and he said that he joined in with training at Charlton about 6 weeks ago and he's still feeling his Achilles, so I think that's a no from him.
We'd still have, do you know what, I'd have Neil Ardley on the pitch for us, putting the balls in for Carl Leaburn, even with an Achilles, to get his head on, because I think that would improve our chances dramatically this season.
Yeah, there's a few to argument. I really hope that we are already looking ahead to next season. Neil Ardley will assume he's been next season. He may well still be. But we definitely...
I think he will be,
I want to... Joe, I've been clear and said I don't want him to be sacked. I really don't. And I will happily accept him in here next season. But the review he has, and he has to accept that this season's not been a great season, entertainment-wise, if I'm being honest with you, on that sort of side of it. But we need to go back to our roots. We need to go back to a target man, probably 2. try and get Jake Reeves back. There's lots of target men in the lower leagues. There's loads we could go for. Non-leagues full of them. So that's what we need to go back to.
Yeah, and perhaps a little bit of honesty. Neil is very honest and has been in the past at managers at the start of the season saying I made errors in the previous season, whatever they might be. And I think, as we mentioned earlier, not having a target man, thinking we're going to change our style of play to suit the luxurious pitch we now have at Kingsmeadow didn't work and was realistically never going to work at this level for the budget of the squad that we have got put together. Where there's loads of target men you can look out for. I think a Kindy come the end of the season would still do a job for us.
No. I think if they go down, there'll be a fire sale.
He's on a big contract, though, isn't he? I believe he's on a 2 or 3 year contract.
He might be on a big contract, but come on.
He's not going to
He
want to
doesn't want to play National League.
Yeah.
I don't know what's playing at the moment, does he?
There's a guy out there at Barnet called Dave Tarpey. Who banged in some 40, 45 goals for Maidenhead,
That's right,
2 seasons
early, didn't he?
He did his cruise ship. I reckon they knew, if we go down, at least we've got a man who knows the National League. He knows that level. He can fire the goals in, and he can get us back to, the Football League. I really think there'll be a fire sale at Barnet. I think the Kinday will be a fabulous acquisition.
I would take him like a shot. I saw him against Luton yesterday. James Shea was back in goal for Luton, which is great to see, and then he got took out by Kindy later on. He looked like a player going through the motions, though. He doesn't look a player that wants to be in a relegation battle or really is that concerned. Yeah, I'll take him. There's a lump. Is that Cambridge has got a forward up front. I'm trying to think his name now, top of my head. Who's decent. There's also a player at Flight, which I like, Smith, who's got about 20 goals this year. Yeah, would he come down south? But there are players around in non-league. That's where Wimbledon should be looking. We're not going to get the top players in League 1 and League 2. We're just not going to get that. So I really hope we can get our scouting down to the lower leagues and pick up these targets.
Would we have struggled as much if Tyrone Barnett was still with us this season? And would you go back in?
What about Barnett or Polion?
I think, both, to be honest with you, now looking at it. Barnett would be the option for the target man, simple as, to give us that point up top to aim towards. Polion's creativity would probably be knocked out of him completely this season, to be honest with you.
Polion did drop off, though. He did drop off from probably about the last 2 or 3 months. He did drop off. So he went through a very quick spell, got quite a lot of goals, but I think he's a very temperamental player with that. I wouldn't probably want to go back. Like Jake Reeves, I'd love to go back for. Apart from that...
Bayo?
I'll take Bayo like a shot. But I just think that's because Bayo's presence is just...
It'd be an emotional return, wouldn't it? It would be a good, tense return. And he would do a job. He's firing him in at Wickham.
But here's the problem with that. His book came out and the tensions between him and the manager perhaps suggest that's not going to happen.
Do you think it's just a clash of completely polar opposite personalities?
Bayo likes to get his own way, doesn't he? And Bayo was, for the 2 summers he was with us, was touting to go to America to sign a deal, wasn't he? So Bayo does what he wants and Bayo can do that. To be fair, Bayo's got a history of going back to clubs, went back to Gillingham for another spell. So I know from what I hear, he loved it at Wimbledon. I'll take him back like a shot. I'm sure he would command decent salary, though, but he's producing the goods at League 2.
As I said in midfield, Luke 09 for me, 100 million%. I think he's a class apart in League 2, and I think if Wickham don't come, although I do think Wickham will come up, I really, really think that finally Gareth Ainsworth has got the right formula. I think Luke 09 is a class apart. Very quickly, Good Friday, and at home,
massive
Fleetwood Town, big game. How's it going to go? We've got 1 minute to wrap up. Let's do it.
Fleetwood never won at Kingsmeadow, so that's a positive. I don't think they've lost in 5.
How many times have they been there?
3 or 4 now. Going back, even more actually, half a dozen probably going back to the conference days.
And we beat them in the playoffs semi-final, didn't we?
We did.
5, 6...
6-1.
6-1, that'd be a nice return.
8-1 in aggregate. They're not lost in 5. They're due a defeat, I think. It's such a winnable game for me, personally. I think it's a must-win. It's a game we can win. And I think it's one where if Neil Lodge goes to that same lineup and takes the shackles off a bit, we can get a result.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that it?
That's
some score predictions.
I'll go for a 1. Joe, we're not going to
Don't even think about going nil. Don't even think about
1-0. 1-0.
1-0 to the Wombles?
Yeah, of course.
I like that. I'll catch you same time, same place next Sunday. Thanks very much to the chaps on the 9 Years podcast. Softball Radio.
Stu, what do you make of that show? What do you give yourself? If you had to rate yourself, let's do the wrestling scale of 5 stars. Out of 5 stars, what would you give that show this week?
It's got to be at least 4.5, I reckon.
4.5.
Yeah, I thought it was
giving us no room for manoeuvre there.
I know. I thought it was quite good this week, actually. But then, there's obviously Aaron just seems to love my beard, doesn't he? So, the moment I walk into that room, I just bless him. He just feels like he really loves us being there for that hour. But then, let's be honest with you, the hour that follows us is probably the worst hour he's ever going to record in his history of non-league and Barnet.
No, that's the hour before with the Watford show. But
yeah, we're sandwiched in between really sad like sections, aren't we? Really?
What were the exact words in the studio this week?
Oh, I couldn't possibly
Not from
repeat them.
either of us, by us, but an unnamed person in the studio, which was simply, "What is the point in Watford?"
Yeah,
Quite right.
Which raised a massive smile from you. I felt you and Aaron connected all of a sudden.
Absolutely. And, well, not as well as you've connected with him. I do have to ask a question. You said he loved your beard.
Yes.
Who is your beard, and is Lorraine aware of this?
No, Aaron's really funny, actually. We get on quite well, don't we, with him? He's actually very easy to talk to and stuff like that, bless him. But, yeah, I still think it wasn't Bristol Rovers that we met. I think it was Newport. If I remember properly. I think I didn't really give him much of an interview either, because I think I was just getting... I swear that was going back many years before I started doing a podcast, and wasn't used to talking all the usual rubbish that I can spout off weekly.
Yes, that is exactly what you do, to be honest with you. There's no other word for it. Speaking of rubbish, Abdu are you? We didn't get it in this week, so let's have a go now.
Okay.
I'm sure you're looking forward to this, as you always do.
Can't wait.
First cryptic clue for you then. This is an ex-Wimbledon player that some might say only fools and horses would love.
Nick Roddice.
Okay, Nick Roddice. Next question. Next clue.
Yeah.
As I just make sure that this is still recording. I'm out of habit now, so I'm just making sure I've not messed it up. Right, this player had a successful Premier League career.
It wasn't him then.
With Norwich City.
A successful Premiership career?
Well, he had a successful Premier League career with Nottingham Forest, with Norwich City. Not with Nottingham Forest at all.
Oh, I'm trying to think now. Who's dropped down the levels? See, I know where you're leading me to, and I'm trying not to go there. But I can't think of any successful... What players did we have that returned to us? None of them played for Norwich. One second. Cody. Did Cody go to Norwich? I think Cody was at Norwich. Yeah, Cody McDonald.
Okay, great. Well, we started off with saying, which ex-Wimbledon player are we looking for?
Oh, well, he might be ex by the time we set this out.
Ouch. Okay, last clue. This player, midfielder, scored his first Wimbledon goal at Hillsborough in a 5-0 victory.
Wow. Hillsborough, 5-0 victory. 5-0 victory?
Don't start Googling this. Yes,
no, I'm not.
Victory.
I never Google it because, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't know where to start with. Midfielder.
Probably.
Midfielder. Oh, wow. 1 second.
I'm realising now why Aaron doesn't want to play this game with us.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Oh, yeah. It's made for radio, isn't it?
It really is.
I don't know. I'm really struggling.
No?
I'm really struggling this one.
Okay, so former Norwich City player in the Premier League. Didn't make his debut, sorry. Scored his first goal for us at Hillsborough in a 5-0 victory. An anagram of his name, which makes me wonder if we've already done this player once before.
Oh, great.
Ram Dick Fannies. Which would not have been the clue had we played this on live Sport Radio on Sunday night.
How am I supposed to... I don't know. Can't believe I can't think of a midfielder that was at Norwich and scored goals in the Premiership. Can't believe I'm... 1 second.
I'll give you a clue. He's certainly a player you wouldn't want to have left back in the changing room. It's a big famous clue.
Yeah, it makes it no better for me at all. No, Joel, I can tell why we didn't bother playing this last night on the other night on the radio show. No, I'm stumped.
No.
I don't like this game anymore.
You never liked it to begin with.
No.
Damian Francis.
No way.
No, you're right. I'm lying. In fact, it is Martin Andres. Yes, of course, Damian Francis. Yes.
So when he left us, wasn't it? He went to Norwich. He didn't sign for Norwich. He come through the system.
Yeah, he signed for Norwich. Yeah, after he left us, he signed for Norwich.
Oh, once they leave Wimbledon, I don't really care where they go really after that.
Oh, really?
Well,
I'll tell John Hartson that.
Once they've left Wimbledon, then there's no other place that you can go, is there? Do you know what I mean? We're the pinnacle of anyone's career, and they've all got. Yeah, I'm not supposed to crack a joke then, but that wasn't me politically correct, and I need to stay away from them jokes.
Yes. Move on.
being on radio does mean that I've censored myself before I say stupid things, which
is a shame.
Yeah, as much as I can possibly.
It's a big, big shame. Well, this 5-minute bonus content's now been going on for 7.5 minutes. But we do have one more feature to bring back. In fact, we've got 2 features to bring back this week, Stu, because I've got a bit of extra time on my hands.
Okay.
I've been able to summon another feature, which is going to come at the very end of the show. After we've signed off with these fine gentlemen singing us out, there's going to be extra bonus content for people that enjoy that sort of thing. But for now, I've got in my hand... What have I got in my hand, Stu? Oh, here we go. This could be even more inappropriate, really.
Your season ticket renewal form?
They're not sending any of those out.
Your proxy vote for the AGM coming up in a couple of weeks?
Quite possibly, although I don't need a proxy because I'll probably be there.
Oh,
Some could argue that it should be called a poxy vote. But that's controversial.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What else could you possibly have in your hands?
It is, Stu, a packet of Panini FIFA World Cup Russia 2018 stickers.
Oh, it's that time of the year again.
Time of the year?
Well, it's that time of the year again when England try and enter a tournament and try and make sure. Well, not every year, every other year. They try and make sure they return home shortly after they've sent their postcards. If anyone sends postcards anymore, do people send postcards?
I still send postcards, but I'm a Luddite, so you'd expect me to. Right, let me open this. This is hard because I've got the microphone in one hand and I'm trying to open stickers in the other. This is the first packet I've opened. Can you hear that?
I can. The excitement is just deafening.
Oh, I've not got a shiny, but I've got what looks like half of the Moscow host city poster.
Cool. The other half has been destroyed.
I've also got Sadio Mane.
Okay.
Johnny Acosta. I think he used to be in Blue, the band. Johnny Acosta. Anton Griezmann. Good player, that.
Decent.
Good player. Yeah. And then I have no idea who that is. I'm not even going to try. I don't even know. I don't even know who that is.
What country?
It's not a real person. I don't even know what country that is.
Well, what chance have you got? If you can't play for a country, you can't enter the tournament.
Is it Morocco?
Nah, they count.
Are Morocco in it?
Do you know what? I'm just actually trying to think. I'm actually just trying to think who the hell England have in their group. That is how much interest I have made.
I found out for you.
In the World Cup.
We have got, this is honest truth, we have got Belgium.
Oh, yeah, it rings a bell, yes.
Tunisia.
Oh, yeah.
And Panorama.
Oh, the BBC get everywhere, don't they?
Yeah, we've got Evan Davis and Fiona Bruce lining up against us. Right, second packet and last packet for today.
Will he get a shiny?
Doesn't look like it. Mohamed El Nene. Was he Arsenal? Is he an Arsenal player?
Pass.
I think he plays for Egypt. That looks shiny-ish, but it's not a shiny, is it? Oh, they're all starting to get...
This is made for radio, this is.
Everyone loves this. Midjat Gastinovic. I had about Gastinovic the other day. Luka Milojevic, Serbian. Milojevic. I'm panicking.
This is going well.
Lucas Falabihansky. And John Daddy Bodvarsson, who used to play for Newcastle in the early 2000s, didn't he? John Daddy Bodvarsson. No, that was John Dahl Thomason. Sorry.
Can you imagine a Geordie trying to pronounce that?
That was a rubbish group of packets. That was rubbish 2 packets. Next week, when we do this again, we've got to have some better stickers. They were disappointing.
It can only get better.
It can only get better.
You know, we should take this live on. We should take this live on the radio station.
It would be. That's what she said.
Joe, we should take this live on the radio station. Can you imagine Aaron's
We should take this live on the radio station. The line broke up horrendously, but we can try it. I don't know how far we'll get.
Hello.
Yeah, the line went really bad there, Stu. So I didn't hear a word of that. What I'm going to assume you said was, when we get to the radio station on Sunday, don't forget that 50 quid that I owe you.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that.
Well remembered, because I do need that money.
I can hear you now. Skype's recovered.
All right, so that's a shame. So you were saying?
Yeah, we should take it live. We should take it live on a radio station. I can just imagine Aaron's face. No one else would. No one else would do that. We would be the most original podcast fan show on Love Sport Radio. We should go into the studio at 2 minutes to 8 and we'd be like, Aaron, we're opening sticker packets live on air, and he's like, no. And then we should just say, well, then we're not doing the show until we get. And then, in fact, we should actually say, until we get our MP3s of the show put through to us, we're boycotting, and just be silent, just be sat silently on air. Oh, that'd be funny. We may do that anyway, so we probably have nothing to talk about on Easter Sunday anyway. Easter Sunday, whose idea was it to do a radio station on Easter Sunday?
No one does a radio station on Easter Sunday.
Nah.
They do a radio show, perhaps. I do love the fact that Easter Sunday falls on April Fool's Day this year, though. I mean,
does it really?
The irony is off the scale.
Brilliant. That's great.
On that note, thank you very much for joining us and listening to us this week. Hope you've enjoyed our... I don't know what that last 12, 13 minutes was, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And don't forget, feature coming up after the music ends. It sounds very poetic, doesn't it? Otherwise than that, yeah, what we're going to say, join us live next Sunday, this coming Sunday, Love Sport Radio. You can listen on DAB, Digital Radio, Medium Wave, and lovesportradio.com. And yeah, that's it, pretty much. We'll have Facebook Lives, I guess, from Fleetwood on Friday, and then Doncaster on
Can't wait.
A rare away day, in fact, Stu, that we're both going to be in attendance for.
We are. Yeah, we're going to be glory hunting, aren't we? Glory hunters. Is that a word we use for? Is that a word we use for the start of the season? Glory hunters or worried as hell hunters?
Escaped mental patients, I think, is the term.
Yeah, probably. Madness.
Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last. We shall speak to you again on Sunday.
Yeah, I got there early, so I was there.
All right, George.
Well, the reason I got in there is because obviously it was I just wanted to be nosy. When I got to I managed to speak to one of the that I know, and they were talking about how they were going to take the covers off and that. So obviously we're fortunate enough we're able to get into because of part of our Facebook Live. So I used that opportunity and just had a look, and I must admit it was such a professional job that they did on there. So yeah, I got in there early and took some footage. So what hindsight's a great thing, but I did make a few comments to you, didn't I? That I just sensed that the players didn't believe, and probably Joe, what me included, didn't believe it was going to come to a conclusion because of the weather and it was so cold. And I just wonder whether Blackburn turned up with a professional mentality. We've travelled all this way, we're going to the best of our ability, because they've done a number on us. But I wonder if the conditions and all that sort of stuff just affects our performance, because that performance by us was not one that I want to see too many times.
Not the best I think I've seen this season by any stretch. What I would say to them, in fairness, I think your word there, professional, they did a very professional job, Blackburn, I think is the best one, because actually, yeah, they may not have, they wouldn't play something in the way that Wigan did, but they just so hard. They didn't stop. They were very on. And helped, however, like I'm saying, by our negativity.